and welcome back. My name is Erica, and in this video we are going to recreate 3 high-end pieces of home decor. So it's officially the start of cozy season, and even though it is 90 degrees where I live, I am ready for fall. I'm ready for all the cozy things. And so oftentimes during this time of year, I like to hit up some high-end websites like Pottery Barn, Crate and Barrel, Anthropologie, and just see what types of home decor pieces are trending, what they're putting out, and just get some inspiration. So I was browsing some of those websites and I came across a few pieces that I thought would be beautiful to add to my home, and I thought we could recreate them really easy using some thrifted pieces and some cheap decor pieces that you can get at places like Hobby Lobby, the Dollar Tree, Walmart, places like that. So we're going to be doing 3 projects. The first is going to be a weathered vase. So it's going to be like an antique type of ceramic vase that's really beautiful. Then we're going to throw in a fall piece of decor and make some terracotta pumpkins. And then lastly, we are going to be making some faux concrete candles. I'm really excited about all of these pieces. I think they add a little bit of warmth to my home. And the 2 pieces that are not fall related are perfect all year round, but especially for this time of year because we're bringing in some warm tones and things like that. So I'm really excited about this video. I'm really excited to share with you how you can recreate some high-end pieces of decor for your home for literally a fraction of the cost. So let's go ahead and get started. The first project is a weathered ceramic vase, and here's the inspiration. I found this beautiful vase on potterybarn.com. It is $59, and I thought we could recreate it with a thrifted vase. Now, this is the one that I found at the thrift store for less than $5, and I really liked the shape and the size of it. I had the perfect place that I wanted to put it, and so it was time to get to work. The first step in this process is to prime the outside of our vase. Now you can use basically any spray paint that you have. Obviously this color is just a random color that I had, but the goal is to prime the surface because we are going to paint with a baking soda paint on the outside. And we want to make sure that the paint is going to adhere, and it really doesn't adhere well to a shiny surface. So if you have a glass vase, a ceramic vase, you're going to want to make sure that you do this step. Again, use whatever primer that you have on hand, spray paint. A lot of the spray paints that I have are a paint and primer combo, so it doesn't really matter what color it is. Go ahead and get it all nice and primed, and then we can get to painting it with our baking soda paint. Now to make baking soda paint, the rule of thumb is to do a teaspoon of baking soda per half cup of paint. Now this is a paint that I've used for lots of projects. It's actually a wall paint, but I liked the color and I thought it would be a good base for our vase. So I'm just going ahead and using this. I just dumped a bunch of baking soda in there. Really we're looking for a weathered kind of actual ceramic stone type texture, and so I ended up using a lot more baking soda than that 1 teaspoon per half cup. So play around with it if you want to, but I liked a little bit more for this project. Basically, I'm just going over the entire outside of the vase with this base layer. So making sure that, we don't see any of that primer underneath. That's going to be the first step. And I actually took the paint down inside the vase. You can see that because it does bow out a little bit at the top. So even if I'm putting dried florals or whatever in there, you're still going to be able to see it. So I took the paint down inside until it's not noticeable where it ends. Do whatever you want to do, but first we're going to create that base layer with baking soda paint, and then we're going to have a little bit of fun with it. here's the fun part. We are going to basically add a bunch of layers of acrylic paint on top. So I had a bunch on hand, but of course you can get the colors that you want for this project specifically. But I chose like that gray, browns, a little bit of yellow. We want to make sure that we're creating dimension and making it look like it's an actual weathered piece of ceramic. And so you're going to want to play around with this, and you really can't mess it up. I started off going in with kind of a dry brush technique, trying to make it look a certain way. That didn't really work out, so I ended up changing to a sponge. And you can use whatever kind of sponge you want. I just had like a foam sponge, but you could get an actual craft sponge. I've seen them at Walmart and other craft stores. You could use a paintbrush and use like a stippling motion. Again, there's really no way that you can screw this part up, but the idea is to get layers of paint to kind of look like it's aged. Now mine turned out a lot darker than the inspiration photo, but if I would have kept the brown out of it, I think it would have turned out lighter. Again, it depends on the look that you're going for, but the technique is going to be the same, and just kind of play around with it and see what you like. Keep adding layers and stop when you like what you see. So here is the final result. Now the lighting in this area is not great, but you can see that it's just like a dark, rich, weathered type of look, and I'm so happy with how it turned out. It is perfect for this cube organizer. I did a makeover on this if you want to check that out. I'll leave it linked up above. But I think it turned out so good. I put some dried eucalyptus in there and just made it look really nice and full. It gave height to that piece of furniture, and I think it's absolutely beautiful. And we did it at such a low cost. Again, the first one was around $60. And if you include paint in this, this was probably at about $10. I had all the paint on hand, so we'll say this cost me $5. And while it doesn't look exactly like the picture, I think it is absolutely beautiful and the perfect piece to put on this entryway piece of furniture. The next project, we are going to be making some terracotta pumpkins. Now this is more fall than the entire cozy season, but hey, fall is part of cozy season, so we're gonna go with it. This is a fall DIY, and really you just need some faux pumpkins and some paint. So I stopped at Hobby Lobby and found some pumpkins. They were actually 40% off, so I got a good deal on those. You could also go to Walmart or the Dollar Tree. I have a few that are from the Dollar Tree. Whatever is in your budget, it's going to work. These ones are a little bit nicer because they don't have the styrofoam outside, but I'm gonna show you one with the styrofoam and it still looks really great. So I picked up some different colors of, you know, like the fall tones, some brown and some orange, and then we need baking soda again. You'll see this theme of baking soda paint throughout this entire tutorial for all three projects, because really it makes such a beautiful look and you can use it for so many different applications. So I basically just mixed some different paints together that I thought would look really pretty. I wanted to stick to that terracotta look, especially because that is the inspiration, and so I kind of wanted to stick to that. You could really do this with any color that you want to. I've seen some in more of like the grayscale. Those would be good for Halloween. Even black, you can do this technique with black paint. So play around with whatever colors that you want to, mix them up. And then again, the baking soda portion, the rule of thumb is a teaspoon per half cup of paint, but you can use as little or as much as you want. The more that you use, I don't know how to describe it, the dustier it's going to look, the more textured it's going to look. So start with a little bit and work your way up and just see what kind of look that you like. But then we're just going to paint the pumpkins. We're going to paint 2 coats, should do it. And what I did is I started with the base of the pumpkins, made sure that they were fully coated, and left the stem for last. And I'll show you that here in a little bit. Once you finish the second coat on the pumpkins, you're going to let them dry about 75 to 80%, and then we're going to sprinkle baking soda all over them. Now, this is a little bit messy, so you could do it outside, or I'm just doing it in a box. I put my baking soda in a shaker bottle. You definitely don't have to do that, but you want to coat the entire pumpkin with that baking soda, and then use either your hands or a dry brush like I'm using, and manipulate that baking soda so it gets in all the cracks and the crevices of the pumpkin. You want to make sure it's really covering the entire thing. So you're going to use more baking soda than you actually need, but the idea is to coat the entire thing in that baking soda and give it that aged terracotta type look, which will be really close, if not better, I think, than the inspiration picture. And as I said before, I left the stem for last, and that was just really ease of painting these pumpkins, so I had something to hang on to. And so we're just going to go back in with that same baking soda paint and then add in your baking soda, or add your baking soda on top, and just use the same technique that you did for the base of the pumpkin, and that way they all look cohesive. If you look at the inspiration picture, the stems are painted and in that terracotta look. So that's what I did, and I absolutely love how they turned out. Our last project are some faux concrete candles. Now this is the inspiration I found on Crate and Barrel's website. It is a fluted onyx candle bowl that is $80. And while I knew I couldn't make anything look like actual stone, I did think we could make something into like a faux concrete type look. So I found this vessel at the thrift store. I have no idea what it was for. There's a pineapple on it, but I thought it had a very similar look and feel. So we're going to start this the same as we did with the vase, and we are going to spray it. Now I went with this blue spray paint I had on hand just because it's kind of similar to the concrete look, but it really didn't matter, to be honest. You can use whatever spray primer you have. Again, this is going to help everything stick to it that we're going to be putting on top. So I would not skip this step, especially, you know, using ceramic or using even plastic. If you found something plastic or glass, you're going to want to make sure that you're doing this. I decided to tape off the inside of the candle about 2 inches-ish down. So I wanted the same look that we're going to have on the outside to kind of go into the candle a little bit. Then I wanted to keep the part where I'm going to be pouring the wax into, I wanted to keep that free of any paint or anything else. I don't know if that was necessary, but in my mind, I don't want to be melting or burning substances that aren't really meant to be. So I wanted to keep that part free of anything and just paint the rim, that little piece into the inside, and then the outside. So now we're going to be using that same baking soda paint that I used for the vase, and I'm using this on the inside. Again, I decided to do this because what we're going to use on the outside is spackle. And I wasn't sure that I wanted to have spackle so close to a flame. It's probably the same concept for paint, but at least this is a little bit better in my mind. I don't really know if that's the right way of thinking, but that's what we're going to go with. So I decided to just paint the rim and that inside portion with some baking soda paint, and then we're going to go in with spackle. Now I just went to the hardware store and found the cheapest spackle that I could. I think it was like $6, and that is what we're going to use to create that faux concrete look on the outside. Now I started off using this spatula, I guess, and I found that just using my hands really worked the best. So that's what I would suggest. Get some gloves and just put it on with your hands. You know, even if you don't have gloves, something that I've done is take like an old Walmart bag or grocery bag and, you know, use that instead of a glove if you don't want to go out and get them. That has worked for me. But you can see, I think it just makes it look a little bit nicer, and I was getting it to stick a little bit better just by using my hands. So just a little tip there. But once we've got everything covered, we're going to let this sit really for quite a few hours or overnight, because we're putting kind of a thick layer and it takes a little time to dry. So you want to make sure that you give it ample time to dry. And then we're going to go in with, you guessed it, baking soda paint, and we're going to give it that concrete look. So as you can see, I'm going in with like a gray color. I mixed a little bit of gray and some brown together, so we're really going for that authentic concrete look. I didn't really stick to our inspiration photo in terms of giving it like a veined look. Again, we're going more concrete than stone, but feel free to mix it up and give it whatever look you want. Now with the baking soda, I did go a little bit heavy because again, I want it to have kind of a rough texture. So play around with that. Again, it depends on what you want to go for, but I was looking for that more rugged type of look. And I also brought that paint on the rim and down into the vessel itself, but making sure to leave space for the candle. Now for the candle, there's a few different things you can do. You can go ahead and make a candle from scratch by melting either soy wax pellets, or you can get beeswax pellets, and I do have a tutorial on how to do that. I'll link that down below, but there is a way that you can hack it a little bit. Now I had these wax melts that I made last year that I haven't gone through, and so I decided to just remelt those, and they're already got the fragrance and everything, so I just remelted them in the microwave. You can do the microwave or you can do it in a double broiler. You could also get a candle from the store and melt that down. You could go through your collection and take, you know, candles that are basically done and reuse that wax. So there's lots of different options that you can do for this. You are going to need wicks. Now you can buy them, and I'll have that linked down below if you want to get the wicks that I'm using. There's a wide variety of those as well. You could also get the wooden wicks, which have that like crackling sound when you light them. Those are really fun. But whichever wick you choose, the first step is going to be to glue it down. Now for a vessel of this size, I'm using 3 wicks. You want them to be spaced a couple inches apart. You will regret it if you don't use enough wicks, because the candle will burn really unevenly. So make sure that you have enough wicks so that the candle burns nice and evenly. But once your wax is fully melted, you're just going to go ahead and pour it into your vessel. And then what I like to do is take you can use a skewer, a pencil, a marker, whatever, and you're going to wrap the wick around that and have it rest on the vessel until the candle is fully hardened. So that wraps up this video. I hope that you were inspired to create some high-end dupe pieces for your home. The main message that I want to come across is that you can really create a beautiful home, the home that you want, on a budget. You do not have to spend tons of money on home decor pieces. You really can make over things that you find at the thrift store or even the Dollar Tree, you know, cheaper places, and you can make them look high-end and you can achieve the look in your home that you want. We're really going for cozy vibes right now, and I feel like adding these pieces really makes a difference in my home. So I hope you were inspired. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure that you subscribe to my channel, hit that bell notification so you're notified every time I upload a new video. But thank you so much for being here. I really greatly appreciate you, and I'll see you next time.